Nug update. This is some Black Cherry Funk organically grown cannabis. I am Coral, your host of News Nug, where I share 4 cannabis-related news stories from around the world with all of you world reefers. You can always find the stories on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.com/newsnug, and you can always submit stories to me if something is happening local to you or if there's a particular story that you are interested in. Definitely let me know because I love that feedback. The first story I wanted to share with all of you comes from rollingstone.com, and it's a frustrating one. The article starts off talking about New York and how medical marijuana has passed. There is some legislation in place, but hyper strict regulations have really stalled access for patients to reach their medicine. So this article goes on to list 7 other states where similar problems are happening, and that delay is prohibiting patients from actually receiving the medicine that was voted for or passed by legislation in some way. And it's not exactly what the people have in mind when they vote or pass medical marijuana. They're hoping patients can be benefited quickly, and in these 7 states, there are just tons of delays and particular problems. So the 7 they went on to give short profiles about would be Massachusetts, Minnesota, Illinois, Delaware, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and Texas. There are medical marijuana programs in place in those states, but they're just not reaching the patients quickly, effectively, or quite yet. We're getting there. The next story I wanted to bring to you is a bit of good news, but it comes from a somewhat tragic origin. There's a young man in New Zealand who has had a form of epilepsy, and the seizures became so violent and so often that they actually induced a coma to try and save his life. So he was been in a induced coma for a number of weeks, I believe it is, and New Zealand activists, patients, advocates really got together and started petitions, started contacting news sources, really screamed it from mountaintops that perhaps medical marijuana would help this young man. So the Associate Health Minister, Peter Dunn, has decided that he may be given medical marijuana, but it is not to set a precedent for New Zealand. So can you really just say this isn't a precedent and suddenly it's not a precedent? I don't know. It really seems to me like you're setting a precedent in that medical marijuana may have value. So it's promising, but it's unfortunate for the young man. And excuse me, Alex Renton is the young man, and he suffers from refractory status epilepticus, which I am not sure if that's exactly a form of epilepsy. I may have misstated that in the beginning, but epilepticus is what he suffers from. He was in repeated seizures, so they had induced a coma. They believe the body's immune system is turning against itself, which is something that cannabis has been in the past shown to help alleviate. So we'll see what happens with that. All the best, all my love and support and well wishes there. Let's just see what happens. I don't know what else to say. The next story is from Forbes.com. I always really like when Forbes.com goes and talks pot. And it is about Canada finally legalizing and allowing all forms of marijuana use for medical patients. It's no longer just flower. There's edibles, concentrates, tinctures. So many different possibilities have just opened up because of this ruling. Super, super exciting. It came from Canada's High Court. Hilarious. Love it. I'm all about the air quotes this episode. I don't know why. But this is a monumental decision, said CEO of Nutritional High, a Canadian company that's been testing marijuana-infused candy and drinks for sale in the United States. But finally, a Canadian market for Canadian-made edibles, Canadian-made tinctures, extracts, those types of things. Now there is a legal medical market for it. Awesome. Go Canada. Round of applause. It's great news, definitely. This last story that I want to share with you is extremely upsetting and frustrating. The headline I chose to run with is that the Santa Ana police were caught on camera eating marijuana edibles, but there's even more shocking and upsetting information to this story. the Santa Ana police raided an unlicensed dispensary. I don't know how unlicensed they were and if that's even technically true or just something that the media is saying. I don't know, but that was in the story. Raided them, door was unlocked, they broke it down anyway, came busting in, like, oh my god, crazy violence, guns drawn, masks on. They make everyone leave. They have all the patients and employees walk out of the dispensary. And one of the volunteers at the dispensary, a patient as well, is in a wheelchair. She has one amputated leg. She is leaving. And the police officers then go about their business inside the dispensary, destroying security cameras. Those suckers didn't even know that there were secret security cameras. So the cops were beat by secret security cameras that actually caught everything they did after they thought they destroyed the footage. More with the air quotes. I don't know. They thought they destroyed all possible options for recording their behavior. Turns out this particular dispensary is badass as fuck and they have secret cameras. The secret cameras then record the officers making jokes about that patient with an amputated leg. The female officer on the scene, it's not even relevant that she's a female, but it's just like, how do you identify the different people in the footage? The one female that you can't identify, that's her. She's heard as making a joke about how she was gonna punch the woman in her nub. What the fuck? Why? You busted into a medical marijuana facility and then talk about violence against patients? I don't even understand how you get to that point in your life. They then proceed to play darts. They're walking around opening up packages saying, this one's kind of rich, you should try some, I'm gonna have a bite. They eat edibles. It's insane how calm and relaxed and chill they are, having just conducted a raid on a medical facility. So they're now disputing that this is edited footage. I think they just cut out the boring parts, really. It's probably like a 3 or 4 hour footage total reel of like beginning to end, raid, entering, moving all the stuff around, talking about kicking amputees, throwing darts, eating a bunch of edibles, and then packing up your stuff and leaving. Why would they release a 3 or 4 hour film? No one's gonna watch that. I'm sorry, I don't have 4 hours to just watch that. I really appreciate the edited version of this movie, or this particular footage. It's not a movie, it's an edited series of security footage. They cut it down for obvious reasons so that we can see what's upsetting quickly and easily. We don't have to watch the whole thing. And anyway, if that's the only dispute they don't have a leg to stand on, which is a really awkward joke to make. But still, they should be punished absolutely for their unprofessional behavior, their violent jokes against patients and amputees, and all of it. It's super upsetting. I've yelled a lot just about this. I'm going to let you guys get out of here. Thank you for watching this week's News Nug, staying informed and staying high with me. Like this video if you're smoking weed along with me. See you next week.